Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Aidan Dowling. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the co-founder and chief advancement officer here at Point of Pride. We are excited to have you with us for this special conversation, which is part of our Transgender Awareness Week program. And so happy Trans Awareness Week, everyone. This week is all about uplifting trans voices, fostering understanding, and advocating for greater visibility and access to care for transgender and non-binary individuals. We're really grateful to have everyone here as part of this very important dialogue. Before we begin, I do want to introduce those who may not know what Point of Pride is and what we do. So we were founded in 2016. Point of Pride is a trans-led nonprofit organization dedicated to providing life-saving, gender-affirming support to transgender and non-binary individuals around the world. We offer direct services through programs such as our free chest binder and Gaff program, which very excited we'll be announcing probably sometime this week that we have just given away our 22,000th garment, which is really exciting. Also our HRT Access Fund, our Electrolysis Support Fund, and are currently open for applications. I will be putting this link in the chat in a minute, our Annual Surgery Fund. Our mission here is to eliminate financial and systemic barriers to care, ensuring that every trans person has access to services they need to live authentically and thrive. So I would like to introduce our co-hosts for today's virtual workshop. So everyone say hi to Ray Hill, pronouns they, them. Ray is a trans non-binary fashion designer and founder of Origami Customs clothing line in Montreal, Canada. It is a line of swimwear and lingerie for folks of all genders, specializing in gender-affirming pieces that fit all bodies and abilities. Origami Customs runs a parallel community program that supports gender affirmation for folks with limited access. This program operates globally through a network of nonprofits like Point of Pride to provide life-changing items to folks facing barriers to intersectional oppressions through a mutual aid framework. So hi, Ray. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. Next up, we have our other co-host, which is Michelle Castro, pronouns she, her. Michelle was born and raised in Southern California. She graduated with a bachelor's in women's and gender studies with a minor in sociology from the California State University in Long Beach. She now resides in Philly, where she works as the Minister for Community Life at Trinity Memorial Church. She is passionate about She's passionate about feminism. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Michelle. She is passionate about feminism, that's right, and trans rights, and hopes to help other trans people in their journey of transition. In her free time, you can find Michelle reading, binging Netflix, or shopping. So welcome, Michelle and Ray. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I just want to let everyone know that we will be having time for questions at the end of this discussion. So feel free to ask them into the chat or the Q&A box at any time. I will be monitoring and making sure that we get to those questions. Realistically, we might not be able to get to all of them, but we will do our best. So I am going to stop talking and hand it over to Ray.
Thank you so much, Aiden. This is so exciting. I'm so glad that you're all here. As Aiden said, I'm Ray. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the owner of Origami Customs. We've been making gaffs and binders and all sorts of other things for nearly 15 years. So I'm really happy to be sharing my experience with all of you today. So we will be covering today the basics of tucking, the different options that we have on the market. And we'll be talking as well about the difference between gaffs and tape, as well as ways to keep yourself feeling safe, healthy, and confident. Michelle is also here to tell some of the best tips and tricks from years of personal experience, because I'm not a gaff wearer, and but I'll be able to speak from my career designing and making these products over the past 15 years. So one little quick note before we start, I wanted to say that I will be using anatomical terms to describe body parts, but we do honor and respect any words that you choose to identify for yourself. So you might just want to switch that out in your head. Yes, and the website's down in the chat as well. Thank you so much for that, Aiden. So tucking is the practice of creating a smooth crotch contour by positioning the genitalia out of sight. There's lots of reasons that people choose to tuck. I'll just name a couple of them, but it is infinite. They might include aesthetics, alleviating gender dysphoria, navigating social spaces, and safety. So tucking is not necessary for femininity, but it's an option for those who are seeking it. When we tuck, the penis is pulled back, and if a person has testicles, they may also be pushed back and moved into the inguinal canal. This is just a very brief overview, and you can find so much more information about specifics online. You will want to start when you're doing this very slowly and listen to your body. This should not be a painful process at all. And while it will feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, the discomfort will slowly alleviate. However, if you have any pain, it means you might be doing something wrong. So back up, listen to your body. But you might find that over time it's going to get easier with practice. As well, being on hormones for a while due to shrinkage, it might make this an easier process for you. So, going a little bit more into some of the reasons why people might choose to tuck. First of all, safety. In spaces where being recognized as trans could lead to violence or discrimination, it would absolutely make sense. We want more, maybe some more feminized features. As I said, tucking is not a necessity for a trans femme identity. You should only tuck if it makes you feel amazing and affirmed. But babes have bulges too, and that's amazing as well. So a variety of people across the board choose to tuck: trans women, non-binary and gender non-conforming people, cisgender men who perform in drags, cisgender men who experience body dysmorphia. There's lots of different reasons why people are choosing to use a tuck. Some people tuck daily for a sense of safety, a smoother appearance, or better mental well-being, but others just tuck occasionally for special events, maybe if you're going to the pool. Some femme-centered individuals also choose not to tuck at all and have no interest in it, which is incredible. And you don't need to have dysphoria in order to tuck. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different ways to tuck. There's two main ways to tuck. One is using tape, and one is using what's called a gaff. So I'll start with tape. Using tape on the genitalia offers a very tight tuck without the need for garments. With the taping method, you can't really pee unless you undo and redo the tape every time. So some brands of tucking tape have tape that can be undone and redone a couple of times, which is really helpful, but this is a major thing to keep in mind. There's another method that some people call the X marks the spot method, and we're going to put a link to that later so you can look it up as well. It allows for a little bit more flexibility when you have to go to the bathroom. You can also purchase kits like something called the Unclockable Kit, which comes with tape, how-to guide, and some safety pads, which might make it a little bit more like user-friendly. Tape works best when you have a shaven area, so this might not be a great option for you if you don't like to shave. Tape also isn't great for long periods of time because it can't often withstand more than 1 or 2 bathroom breaks, and the breaks should be taken often when you're taping. But tape is awesome because it doesn't show under most outfits and might be really, really good for events like performing or swimming. Gaffs, on the other hand, Gaffs are a really great everyday option because they can be taken on and off really easily when you're using the restroom. It's kind of like just a plug and play, you're just pulling on a pair of underwear. So they're essentially, if you're not familiar with Gaffs, they're a compression underwear. They can come in all different types. There's so many now on the market. There's boy shorts, briefs, cheeky, thong. Depending on the type of gaff, they can also be really, really comfortable. We'll talk a little bit more about that after, but it's really important that you measure yourself before buying. While your size might be similar to your pant size, many gaff brands use slightly different measurements, and it's really, really important that you're getting a really good fit, or you could have some discomfort when you're using a gaff. Also, when you want to take into account if you are on hormones and at what stage. If you're early on, just make sure to take into account that your hips and your butt might change shape over time. So a gaff might not fit you throughout that gender transition, and you might have to end up buying new ones. So gaffs can either be used by themselves as a simple smoothing compression or with a tuck. Gaffs can be worn with or without a tuck. And when you're ready, you just slip on your gaff like normal underwear. You make sure everything's secure, and then you're good to go. They can be a lot faster than options like taping. While some people use regular underwear to tuck, and some swimwear, gaffs are specifically made with tucking in mind. So they take into account the compressive nature, the long wear time, and the breathability that's necessary for a safe tuck. Not all gaffs can be worn with or without a tuck. The gaffs that I make are made out of a flexible material so that they also fit really well when you're untucked. But you'll want to make sure that you look for this when you're buying it. You'll want, if you do want to wear it untucked, you want to look for a gaff with a little bit of give in the front, a stretch material that has elasticized edges. So if you plan on wearing it without a tuck, that's going to prevent spillage off to the sides. Gaffs are adjustable throughout the day, and it makes it easier to take a moment to readjust if you're feeling any discomfort. If something feels off, you're going to be able to just pop into a bathroom and readjust in a much more accessible way. Flexible gaffs often are going to also give you more relaxed comfort. You can more easily take them off and take breaks. You know, if you can be home for a few hours and your gaff is feeling uncomfortable, you can just like switch into some sweatpants until you have to go out again, which can be really nice. Gaffs with non-stretch materials can be harder to get a good fit, and often these materials are less breathable. So make sure to look for something with really good airflow. We use a material called Power Mesh. I just saw this comment. Yes, I realize that I'm going through a lot of material. You will have access to this video afterwards, so absolutely. Um, okay, so I'm gonna quickly go over a couple different types of gaffs that's gonna help you decide when you're picking these out for the first time, and maybe you've already got some experience with these. So a few pros and cons of the main styles that are on the market. We've got full coverage gaffs. These are amazing if it's your first time using a gaff or tucking in general. We usually advocate for younger folks to try more of a full coverage or like a hipster style. The gusset's a little bit wider and more accommodating, especially to the back where the penis is going to go, making it a bit more beginner friendly. But a classic is the thong. For us, we sell way more thongs than anything else because they do have a better tuck. People love them because you don't have panty lines and you can pull up the sides for more vertical compression, so like a tighter tuck. And it's a little bit more adjustable in that way. And the V shape of the thong sides can be really euphoric for some people in emphasizing the roundness of the hips. Another main category is the high waist gaffs. Sometimes they're in the shapewear category, something similar to like what Spanx would do, but like specifically with a gaff in it. So we make a couple of these styles as well. And they're designed to give you a smooth sculpted silhouette. No matter what your gender, these are just going to feel really euphoric in a lot of ways. People often call them shapewear, and Spanx kind of made that famous, but there's tons of new options on the market now. Typically, they're made from a blend of spandex or nylon. They can often focus on areas like the hips or the stomach to give you more of like a full body contour. And they're really, really awesome if you're wearing something like a dress or a high-waisted pants or skirt, because the soft waistband sits at the natural waist and not down on the hips. So it gives a very lovely silhouette. Lastly, one category that we can talk about very briefly is swim gaffs. Some people will use a tight swim bottom as a gaff alternative. The stretch materials do offer some compression if you're in a pinch. Many of these swim styles can help you out, but we and some other brands also create specific swimwear that comes with a built-in compression liner for moderate compression. So you can wear those as a gaff while you're swimming, and you can also wear a normal gaff underneath of those swimwears because all of our gaffs are swim safe, and those together provide like really amazing coverage if you're wanting to tuck and swim. So, next I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of proper sizing. One of the most important parts of safe tucking is getting a really, really good fit. A too small gaff can cause health issues and long-term damage, and a too large gaff will not compress you properly. So getting a custom fit is optimal, making sure that you're wearing a gaff that fits you perfectly and you can wear for a long period of time, and making sure that materials don't stretch out. We do custom sizing on our gaffs, and I'm sure there's tons of other places where you can get that, but it's something just really important to keep in mind. And if you want help taking your own measurements, we'll put a link later for you to access a guide where you can follow along with some videos to take your own measurements. So lastly, I'm going to go over a few best practices with tucking. These are just some things to keep into consideration, but of course, you know your own body. Listen to any signs that you're getting during tucking and gaffing process or with tape. So tucking should not be painful. Any discomfort may be normal at first, but definitely stop and take a second if you're noticing pain. Begin by tucking for short periods of time and building tolerance. There are some potential health risks that you should keep in mind. Increased temperature in the inguinal canal can impact sperm quality and fertility. So, if fertility is something that's on your mind, I would definitely do some more research on that and making sure that you're making the right decisions for you. There's also some risks of skin irritation, infection, what's commonly called jock itch. You can prevent that with taking breaks, with getting materials that have more airflow, and with really simple things like antifungal powder. So also just make sure to wash your gaffs right away after you wear them. It's just like underwear, so just one wear and then that's it. Some warning signs that you would want to get some medical attention are like persistent discomfort, any blood, pain, or signs of infection. That's some more serious stuff. Um, as well, you'll want to make sure that you like at least shave or trim the pubic hair a little bit to reduce some discomfort. I mean, obviously that's a personal choice, but some people do find that that makes it a little bit easier. If you're using tape, make sure that it's sports or medical tape that's designed for the skin. Please do not use duct tape. Do not use packing tape. I know it's really tempting to use things that feel like they're going to give you the most euphoria, but there are so many really great products on the market now that are designed for this. As well, make sure that you use the bathroom before you start tucking. Limit your tucking time to 4 to 8 hours if you can. Stay hydrated, but be mindful of the intake if the taping restricts your bathroom use, and avoid staying taped for extended periods to prevent UTIs and discomfort. So those are just some things you're going to want to keep in the back of your head. Again, I realize I'm going through all of this information super fast. We have so much we want to tell you, and we want to make sure that there's time for questions at the end. So I'll leave it there. You'll be able to go through this video afterwards, and we're going to drop some links where you can find out more information about the stuff that I have been talking about today. So I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, who's going to share some more personal experience using these products.
Thank you, Ray, and hi everybody, and welcome to our webinar. As Ray said, I will be explaining my personal experiences from tucking and advice that I have. I am someone that tucks every day, so I have plenty of experience. Uh, Before I go over everything, I really want to reemphasize what Ray said, and that you need to listen to your body when you're tucking. It will be uncomfortable, a little uncomfortable at first, but it should never be painful. When I first started, it was a little uncomfortable. It felt like, if you cross your legs the wrong way and you kind of accidentally like squish, something down there, but it was never painful. Over time, when you get used to it, you won't experience discomfort anymore, especially when you are on hormones for a long time, if you are someone that eventually takes hormones. I no longer feel any sort of discomfort now when I do it. Now, when it comes to how I tuck, it all depends on what I'm doing that day. So on every day sort of tucking, I use gaffs. I love gaffs. Gaffs are amazing. They're so comfortable. I have three here to show you guys that you can see an example of what they look like. This one is from Tomboy X. As you can see, it's very much like normal underwear. It compresses everything. You put your testicles back into the canal and you hold your penis back as you put these on. I wear these all day. They're easy to take on and off. They're easy to use the restroom. I drink a lot of liquids, so I have to pee a lot. So this is really helpful. Um, that is an option. This one is from Origami X, actually, which Ray made. This is actually my favorite one. And I'm not just saying that because Ray's here. This truly is my favorite one because it's really comfortable. And then this one is from Gaffs. I think it's just the name of the company. This is more of a thong type. This one is my least favorite, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I bought this when I first started tucking and when I first started HRT. and I didn't measure myself because I thought, well, I have a small waist. Why do I need to measure myself? I know what waist size I am. Turns out when you go on hormones, your hips and your butt get bigger. And this super elastic stuff right here, it ends up really like chafing into your groin when it's not the right size. So just to really emphasize how much proper sizing matters, when you do measure yourself, you want to measure your upper hip area, your lower hip area, and then your buttocks area. And each product is different. So when you look on their website, you look at the different sizing that they use. Now, when it comes to tucking tape, I personally use unclockable, which Ray talked about. Unclockable is really easy to use. I didn't think it would be. I often will use tape when I'm going to a special event, if I'm wearing a tight dress, if I'm going swimming, because unclockable is completely waterproof. Just to show you guys what it looks like. It's wrapped in this really easy like wrapper that you pull off. So it comes with a cotton pad that you put over your penis to protect it so you're not getting like that sticky stuff all over it. And then this is the tape. So this top part goes right above your penis and it's stretchy. You can't tell because there's paper on it, but it's stretchy so you can stretch it all the way back to your buttocks. When I do wear this, I often will wear it about 4 to 5 hours, and that's only when I'm in water. So that just shows you how long it's able to last, and it's extremely easy to take off at the end of the day. As long as you're following the directions that it gives you, then you won't have any issues. Um, as Ray said, it is a lot easier to trim your hair, your pubic hair, so that it doesn't get caught on it. But I am someone that I don't like to totally shave because I'm a feminist and because you know what? Hair is natural. So I just trim it a little bit and it tells you on the directions like how short you should have it. And so I just make sure to trim it really short so it doesn't get caught as I'm pulling it off. Um, I also really want to emphasize that you're putting this in the right area, the pad, when you are taping. I made the mistake of not watching where I was putting the tape over the first time I wore it, and it wasn't fun when it turned out the tape was stuck on my testicles as I was pulling it off. So this is your friend. Just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that you're getting the best tuck. I know like with beauty standards and stuff, we think like, pain is beauty. My most comfortable gaffs and the times when I've been most comfortable when I've tucked have also been the times when I've had the best and the tightest tuck. So just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean you're doing something right. It should feel good. Your body should be letting you know that everything is okay. And that is about it on my end. So Aiden, I'll call you back and we can answer some questions.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. So as mentioned, everything we talk about today will definitely be in our replay. So our replay will be hosted on our blog. So make sure you are following our newsletter and checking us out on social at Point of Pride ORG. So thank you, Michelle and Ray. Before we get to questions, again, if you have any questions, you could drop them in the Q&A. If you feel inspired by today's conversation, we do encourage you to make a donation to Point of Pride. Your support allows us to continue providing free gender-affirming services like binders and gaffs and HRT access to trans individuals in need. Donations could be made. I will drop a link in the chat, or you can just text the word trans futures. That's one word, trans futures, to 44321. Every contribution makes a difference. So I'm going to kind of just be the question person. I will just be kind of like saying the questions and letting Ray and Michelle answer them. But again, if you have any questions, please drop them into the chat, or there's a little Q&A box as well. So let me get to some of these questions. So do you have any tips for washing or the maintenance of gaffs to preserve the oh my gosh, elasticity of the fabric for as long as possible?
I can totally take this one. Yes, I wrote a whole blog on this. Um, I mean, first off, check the care label of each individual gaff because they're going to be made out of different materials. There are some brands that use like a cotton front, and that might be a bit different, but in my experience, they're usually like nylon elastane type materials. And like I said, you do want to wash it every time you wear it, but I would wash it in cold and I would hang it to dry. Besides that, there's not too much that you have to worry about. This is like very sturdy material. Like it's got a lot of tension on it. It can take a lot of wear and tear. So it's not necessarily something that you have to hand wash. Like that's really overkill. And I wouldn't even say that most gaffs would need to go on delicates. Unless it's something a bit fancier where, some brands might have like a little bit of like lace along the top or like a little bow or like, something that you would normally put like in a lingerie bag in the washer. Michelle, did you have anything to add to that?
Very much agree with what you said. I put all of mine in a gentle wash cycle
Hmm.
on cold water, of course. I will sometimes put them in the dryer, but that's because my dryer has a gentle cycle on it.
Yeah.
But just as you said, air dry is better. And
Yeah.
plus, they usually air dry pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
it's not like you'd be
that's
waiting a
true.
long time.
Yeah, I would say that those materials don't shrink in the dryer. So like if they go in the dryer, it's not a big deal, but it's only like over time the materials will break down more. But if they go in once, it's like totally fine.
Awesome. So the next question is geared towards you, Michelle. How has wearing a gaff impacted your confidence and comfort?
Oh, it's been like astronomical. I so when I first started presenting as a woman, I didn't tuck because I was worried about how uncomfortable it would be, and I didn't want to like have the hassle. But it was a very common fear and anxiety for me that people would see my bulge. I personally did not want it to be present and shown. Um, so it's having wearing gaffs has made me extremely comfortable and confident in my identity and makes me feel a lot better. And as someone who has dysphoria, it has helped it quite a lot.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm trying to drop the questions in the chat at the same time so people can see. So the next question is, how has wearing a gaff impacted during physical activities like the gym? Do you
Mm.
go to the gym, Michelle? Have you ever worn anything like running, or I'm assuming this is related to like,
Wow, putting Michelle on the spot.
I know,
Yeah.
sorry,
You go to the gym,
Michelle.
Michelle?
So I don't exercise very often, but I mean I will get active sometimes. So I will say that yes, you are able to wear gaffs to the gym in sorts of activities. Um yeah, I think nothing is wrong, nothing you won't have as much slippage. And as someone who also wears leggings a lot, like exercise leggings, even though I don't go to the gym, even though I will wear exercise leggings, I am able to get a really flat tuck wearing a gaff. And when I'm moving around, I live in the city, so I run around quite a bit. When I'm running around in the city, I don't have any issues.
Amazing. I feel like that question is going to come up. We have a binding event after this. I feel like that's definitely going to be a question. Okay,
Yeah,
so I think the
100%.
next question is a little more geared towards you, Ray.
Sure.
What should someone do if they can't find a gaff in their size?
Yeah, that's super real. For a lot of reasons, many brands are like limited in their offerings of size. I mean, there's a few things you can do. I mean, I'm gonna like shamelessly say that my brand doesn't have a size cap. We cater to everyone, and it's been like that from the beginning. And I think that's probably one of the reasons is that we've done pretty well is that we carry standard sizes from extra, extra small to 6XL. But if someone can't find the right sizing within that, and they don't fit the standard like body proportions of those sizes, we custom make everything for the person. So I'm not sure how many other options there are out there that do the custom sizing, but it's really great for a number of reasons. And with us, it's always free with your orders. Um, yeah. I mean, besides that, you could like try out different brands and see if each one fits differently. That might have more of a financial contribution aspect to it. Might be a bit expensive to like try a bunch of different ones. Michelle, have you had that experience? Do you want to speak to that?
Oh, I mean, I have noticed that, yeah, like every company that I look at when I'm ordering gaffs tend to be very size inclusive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that's not an issue. The only way I could see that really being a big issue is like if you get sold out of a size.
That's true.
Um, but that's why thankfully there's a lot of different brands, so they can definitely work around.
Yeah, again, I'll say that checking the sizing chart is really important with each brand because between brands it really varies. So make sure that like you know your own body measurements and you're taking those at the right places on your body so that you can compare across brands and you know what size you fit in different brands.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, why do some gaffs have a ring on it?
That's a great question. There is a particular style of gaff that has a ring on it. It's meant to help you with pulling the penis back towards the back. I don't have a ton of experience with these particular products, so Michelle, feel free to jump in if you want.
I don't even know. I have to admit that question stumped me. I was confused.
It's a less common style of gaff. There are some on the market though. There's like kind of a small rubber O-ring that like fits over the penis with like then there's kind of like a string that helps you pull the penis back. I imagine to like assist with holding it while the front fabric of the gaff keeps everything in place. But we'd have to yeah, do a little bit more research to give you more specific details about those brands.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm assuming this is a little more geared towards you, Michelle. Um, when did you know it was time to tuck? I feel a bit nervous to start.
Um, so I noticed it was time to check when I realized that I had much more bottom dysphoria than previously thought. So, at first I think it was more of a experimentation type of thing, um, where I was like, let's try this and see how I feel. And so I think, take small steps. You don't have to like wear it or like tuck for the first time and then go out, in public. I think you can definitely start at home, see how you feel. If you have a trusted friend, I think that's always great to just be around them while you're tucking for the first time. Um, yeah, I think it's always up to you. I don't think there's any wrong answer or wrong time when to start. um Everybody's going to be different. Also, like not everyone has body dysmorphia or dysphoria, and that's totally valid. And you don't have to have dysphoria to tuck. So everybody's going to be different.
I love that point of like if you have someone that you really trust, having them there with you to kind of walk you through it. I think that would be like a very special moment. And
uh,
yeah, I hope we all have community that can give us a little bit of advice along our paths.
yeah.
Thank you. So maybe both of you can give a personal and then more of a designer aspect in this question. So I'm worried about tucking hurting. How can I avoid pain or discomfort?
Yeah. Did you want to take that one, Michelle?
Yeah, it's okay if I start.
Yeah,
I'll
go
say
for it.
that start slow. um Yeah, start really slow. Read up as much as you can about instructions on how to do it. I know it can be pretty difficult because if, depending on how involved the instructions are, it might be harder to find, especially since we're dealing with genitals. But
Mhm.
yeah, start slow. If it's hurting, you're doing something wrong. So listen to your body. If it's uncomfortable at first, that's normal. Um, but start off in short increments too. Like if it's your first time tucking, I wouldn't recommend like going for like a 6 to 8 hour tucking
Mhm.
time. Start very small, I would say.
Yeah. That's absolutely what I would say as well. I think my only other suggestion would be like if you want to try a couple different things and see what works best for you, like try to find a couple brands that are more affordable so that you can figure out what's going to work best for your body, like maybe a gaff and a tape kit. Especially if you're starting out, a kit might be an easier, more accessible place to start. And with gaffs, like you might be able to get one through a program like Point of Pride. You might have a friend that would like let you try theirs on, but it might be nice to just try a couple different options while you're getting a feel of what works best for your body.
Fabulous. Next question. I'm scared of the future and I'm trying to pursue an orchiectomy or
Ectomy.
more. And I've been considering my fertility. I've been trying not to tuck as regularly as possible just to regain fertility. Did you say tucking can affect fertility? Is that a myth?
It is not a myth. I'm not a doctor, but from my research, it does increase the temperature of your sperm, which can reduce your fertility over time. I would say if you have a care provider that you trust, definitely talk to them to find out more if that's the road that you want to go down. And I totally hear you about like fear for the future and wanting to make the right decisions and wanting to put steps in place now to, to keep ourselves safe and healthy and feeling fulfilled down the road. Um, it's certainly a consideration with sustained long-term use of either tape or gaffs. So I would certainly talk to your doctor more.
Awesome. There you go. I'm like so many buttons just to come back. Fabulous. Um, okay, so if anyone has any more questions, I do have another question here, but if anyone has questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat.
I think there was one more in the chat here that we might have skipped over. How can I get a hold of tape that is safe? Where do I go to get
Yep,
it?
yep, I love it.
Yeah.
So boom. How can I get a hold of tape that is safe? Where can I go to get it?
Um, I know that medical tape can be pretty easy to find. You could probably find it at your local pharmacy. Sports tape, I'm not sure. Probably in the same area. Ray, do you happen to know?
Yeah, I mean medical tape. There are some specific brands that you can get, like trans tape, and other like of similar products, but different brands of it that are more available on the market now. I've been noticing that a lot of sex toy stores, especially online, are carrying tape that you can get in the big rolls, and then you can like cut smaller if you want. So if you have a sex store that you trust, maybe. Yeah, it's something that you can also buy online, which is nice. Some people will use K-tape, which is more like the physio tape, but I have heard, and I'm not totally sure, I haven't personally experienced this, but I've heard that the adhesive can be quite intense, and not totally made for sensitive areas. So I think I would avoid that one. But there are a lot more brands on the market now. So just like give it a quick Google.
And I will say, I know a lot of companies online will do discreet packaging if
Mm-hmm.
like you're not out to any people you're living with and you're worried about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. How could you account for potential hip change from HRT if I'm trying to get a gaff before HRT?
Okay, I've got a really good answer for this one. Most of the gaffs that we make will take into account both your high hip and your low hip measurement. The high hip measurement is basically at your hip bones, and then the low hip is like the biggest part of your butt. So while both of those measurements may fluctuate, the way to reduce the how do I phrase this? The way to buy something that might be more useful in the most types of situations as your body changes is to get something that only touches at the high hip. So, for example, like a thong, like it's got this really skinny band at the top, right? So it really just sits on the hips. Whereas something that's like a boy short or a hipster, like it covers the bum as well. And so then if the bum gets bigger, then like that part of the gaff will fit too tight. So if you're just looking at one measurement, there's like less chance that you'll outgrow it faster. And especially with a thong, you can kind of raise where you wear that waistband up a little bit higher if it's becoming too tight at the place where you would normally wear it. So this is something that I definitely recommend people if they know that their body is going to change. Also, just make sure that you're buying something that is made of stretch materials to account for that so you can wear it for longer.
I will also say too, like if you're trying to gauge maybe how big your hips and butt will get, look at the women in your family. So
Mm.
like look at your mom or if you have a sister, like how big their hips or butt tends to be. So if you kind of tend to have like curvier women in your family, which I do, which is what's not is nice, but when it comes to sizing, is not always nice. That's something to keep in mind. And so maybe get one more size up. That's what happened to me. I used to wear a
Mm.
small, and now I have to wear a medium. So yeah.
Awesome. Next question. Just to return to the gym question, I like to run, but also dance, like at concerts where I get really energetic. Should I use a smaller gaff or shapewear on those occasions, or just keep what's normally comfy to me?
I would suggest not sizing down in general, because it's not just creating like a stronger tuck, it's really gonna like cut into the body in a way that could be really uncomfortable. I would just make sure that you've got either a gaff or tape that you feel really comfortable using, that you know is gonna provide a really good tuck. And if you don't have one that you feel is gonna keep you really safe and like smooth and under something like leggings, then maybe try a different brand. And because I'm sure that there are brands out there that would work better if you're not already finding that really good fit.
Yeah, 100% agree with what you just said, Ray. From personal experience, the gaff that I showed that is too small. When if I've worn it on days where I've been most active, I've actually gotten like rug burns like in my groin area. So especially if you're going to a concert or running or something, definitely don't size
Yeah, that
down.
doesn't sound fun for you.
Awesome. So we're getting to the last two that I have here. So if anyone has any more, here's your opportunity to drop it in the chat or the Q&A.
Mhm.
What is something you wish you knew before tucking for the first time?
That it's not that hard. I thought it was like extremely difficult. And would be something that I have to think about on a day-to-day basis, like when I'm tucking. Tucking is kind of like it's become so normal to me that it feels just the same as when I put on any other article of clothing. Um, I'm more worried about what I'm gonna have for breakfast that day than when I'm tucking. So yeah, I think that's what surprised me is that how easy and how integrated into my life it's gotten to be.
Amazing. And then uh, I will drop in the chat also what I think you're going to be talking about, Ray. But how do I measure myself to find the right gaff size?
Hey, it's my specialty. Um, you can learn how to measure yourself. And on my website, I do have a measurement guide that's not specific to my brand. You can use that and you can take those measurements and you can take them to any other brand and make sure that you're fitting within their sizing system as well. But it does have a lot of information and drawings and videos to walk you through that process. Again, it will break down the measurements that you need for each different style of gaff. But with other brands, you're mostly looking at what we call the high hip and the low hip. And I will also note that process of taking your measurements sometimes is a lot easier with a friend.
Mhm.
So if you can grab someone else who, especially who has done it before, if you're confused about the first time taking your measurements, ask and see if someone will help you with that.
Agree, agree.
Amazing. Well, we got another one come through. Since we have a little bit of time, I'm gonna put it on the both of you. What design gaff would reduce chafing the best?
I
Um, yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say I would say like boy shorts or briefs. Um, usually, the one that I showed was a thong that chafed me the most, and so I'm thinking either way, that would probably lead to chafing the most. That would be the design that would lead to chafing the most. Also, I don't
Mhm.
like thongs. Sorry, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
rant. But thongs are not comfortable. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Different styles work for different people.
Yeah, everyone's different, but
Definitely. From a designer standpoint, there's like a lot of like body architecture math that goes into like the stretch ratios and like where the tension is of different designs. So a thong really relies on things being like really pulled up, and that upward V is like definitely where you're gonna get chafing, like along kind of like the sides where your leg hits your body. Do you know what I mean? So things like a boy short and the gaff rely more on like a sandwiching from the outside, which can really, really help alleviate the pressure on those like hot spots where the seams can lie. Oh yeah, some people are also saying in the chat that deodorant really helps with that. Absolutely, if you're getting some chafing, that's a good one.
yeah.
There's lots of good products on the market right now for that as well.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ray and Michelle, for this awesome event. Thank you to everyone who asked questions, and just in general, thank you all for your attendance today. If you'd like to stay connected, I did drop Ray and Michelle's information in the chat. We'll also have this event as replay on our blog, which will also include all of the links and resources that were mentioned here today. I encourage you all to stay connected with Point of Pride by following us on social media at Point of Pride ORG, and to subscribe to our newsletter to get information about all of our programs and also when they are open for applications. I did put in the chat also where you can get a free gaff if you are in need of one. Remember, if you'd like to support our work, donations can be made by texting Trans Futures to 44321. And if just a reminder that we do have our annual surgery fund open right now. So if you are looking for some type of gender affirming surgery, you can go to our website and apply before the end of this month, November 30th. So again, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Ray. Before you all leave, I want to remind you of our other programming continuing throughout this week. So right after this, we actually have a binding event that's happening in, I believe, 40 minutes from now. So if you know anybody who or yourself would like to learn some more safer ways about binding, chest binding, you can check us out. We'll also be hosting tomorrow our facial masculinizing surgery topic with Dr. Fake from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Actually, that's a lie. It is at 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see all of our programming for the week, you can check out our socials or our blog at pointofpride.org. Thank you to our ASL interpreters also for joining. Super helpful for everyone who needs that. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your Trans Awareness Week.